welcome to Diamond.Standard.Gaming, and today we're going to be visiting our prison that we built last week, and we're going to be doing some upgrades to it. We're going to upgrade the deck and the balcony. We're then going to go ahead and upgrade the paths coming into and leaving the prison. We're going to improve the roof a little bit. We're going to build a courtyard. We're going to build a roof over the balcony. Then we're going to go ahead and furnish the admin area. Then we're going to add some furnishing to the cells, and then finally we're going to go ahead and finish off the cell block. So let's get started. At this time I wasn't really sure if I was going to do like a balcony or a deck or what I was going to do. So I just kind of started putting blocks down, and I wasn't even sure if I was going to go across the entire front of the prison or just kind of where the doors are over here. You'll see that I do end up going across the entire front of the prison shortly here. And I didn't want to make it too big or anything like that. I really just wanted it big enough for to be able to get into the prison, and also big enough to be able to put a railing around it because there is a drop off on the front. So it just seems like it makes sense to have railing there. And then here at this point, I couldn't really decide if I wanted to do a single stair down, or a double stair, or a stair out the front. So I do shortly you'll see I decide to go to a double stair coming down the side like that, and I think it looks a lot nicer. The single stair is kind of narrow, and then I go here and I kind of fill in some of the blocks on the bottom of the balcony here. And that pretty much finishes up the balcony build right there. I do come back and I will square off the corners, you'll see, and I'll double up the stairs in a minute here. And then here I'm kind of going to go ahead and start working on the pathway going into the prison. So you can see there I doubled up the stairs, and then I go ahead and add the railing straight down the side, just like that. So this pathway is the path that used to go to the watchtower that is like directly to the left of the prison. But then when I put the prison in, I ended up cutting the pathway off. So the path now wraps around the prison, across the balcony in front, and then back around, and goes back up to the watchtower still. So yeah, I just put some railing in, and then here I go ahead and get a shovel, and I'm going to go ahead and cut a path in right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and put some stairs in. And then eventually I do come back. I think that might be another video, but I do come back and kind of make that entire path that goes all the way back to the town. I make it a whole double path going all the way back. And then something cool I'm going to do in in the near future is I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to build a river in coming down, because right behind this prison is kind of like a giant snow-topped mountain. So I'm going to actually have a river coming down off of the mountain, and then the path is going to actually have a bridge that goes over the river. So here I do a little bit of cleanup right here. That's the window right there that goes into the cell for the well-behaved prisoners. They actually have fresh air and light coming through that window, and only one cell has that. And then here I'm going ahead and I'm making this path on this side of the prison doubled up as well. So I go ahead and throw some stairs in there, and then I go ahead and fill some holes that were there, cleaning up a little bit, making it look nice. Just like that, and then just cleaning up some of the old path that's here. Just like that, and that finishes the path. Pretty simple, but it does make it look real nice when it's all done. And that's what it looks like right there, with the balcony and the paths put in there. And at this time I'm kind of looking at it and I was like, yeah, I think the roof of this prison needs to have something. So I wasn't sure what I was going to put in, but then I kind of went with the castle top Gave it a nice look. I'm not sure what that villager was doing up on the roof. Just like that, basically, you know, leaving. And then that's how that looks. So I think that's looking pretty nice. And then I'm kind of thinking about this, and I'm like, well, what can I actually do with the roof? And I'm like, I mean, it wouldn't be for, you know, a visitor or anything to sit up there and look out. They don't want to be up there. So I decided to actually turn it into a courtyard for the prison. So when the prisoners want to go outside, they can go ahead and get some fresh air. And this seemed to be the perfect spot. So I go ahead and I put the iron bars up around the top. And I think it also gave the prison, you know, a nice look. It kind of made it look more like a prison. And then you'll see shortly, I do, towards the end of this video, I actually make an access way from inside the cell block going up to the balcony, or going up to the courtyard. That way you don't have to bring the prisoners outside and then up to the top. And I'm just kind of matching the pattern that I had on the front, which is kind of, you know, 2 blocks in a space, 2 blocks in a space, like that. And I go ahead and I add some more iron bars here. Now I did realize later on in the build that I had to actually make the bars 2 high and not just a single one high like that, because yeah, you could jump up on the edge of the block, between the block and the bar, and then jump out. So I did have to double up the bars later on. And then here I'm going ahead and adding the balcony roof. So I wasn't sure at first. I was thinking of keeping it flat like that. And here I go ahead and add a support in. But then you'll see here, I do decide to kind of make it like an angled roof, angling away from the prison. I think it gave it a nice look. And then I was thinking here, I was like, I wonder how that looks if it kind of wrapped around the side. So I go here and I do wrap it around, just kind of in the very front, like this, around the front corner. Just like that. And I think that gives it a really nice look with the overhang on each side. And then I go ahead and I try to do the same thing. I actually went a little overboard on this side, but then I correct it. See, I kind of went out an extra 3 on this side. But then in a second here, when I look at it, I'm like, that's way too far. So I end up breaking it like that. Just like that. And then I was also thinking, like, should I hollow out the bottom part there and not have it flat? But I think it looks pretty good flat like that, so I did end up leaving it like that. And that kind of finishes the balcony roof cover there. And then, of course, the next thing I need to do is I need to add some lighting out here. So here I was just kind of thinking where I want to put the lights. So I kind of threw a light on that side and a light on this side. And I come out here, I look at it, I'm like, yeah, it's kind of far. So I ended up putting 2 lights side by side right in the middle, just like that. And then a second here, I do turn it to nighttime so you can see how it looks at night. And if you're building this prison, definitely try different lights and see, try a torch, or if you have an add-on, try a different light and see how that looks, or candles, or experiment and see what looks good for you. Okay, and then here we are inside of the prison on the administrative side of things, and I'm going ahead and adding lights. These 2 little rooms here that I just put lights in are kind of like 2 offices, two offices for the administrative staff to work. And then what I do, this is a pretty small one here, so I'm pretty much going to just add a table and then a set of chairs in here. So this is an add-on I have to actually give us, real chairs and real tables, and also like a chest of drawers you'll see we'll use here shortly. Kind of looks like a filing cabinet. So I go ahead. Yeah, this room is smaller here, so in this room I only put a pair of chairs in here. It's so small in here I can barely move around. You can see I'm kind of getting stuck on the furniture. And I was thinking what I wanted to do. I wasn't sure. It's like, do I fill it with chairs or do I not fill it with chairs? You see I'm kind of getting stuck there. So it's so tight. And I said that's all the chairs I'm going to put in here for now because it is so small. And then right up here on the back, I was kind of saying, where can I put the filing cabinet here? I was like, if I put it back in that back corner, it's going to block the chair, so I don't want it there. So then I decided to kind of break out the wall here and put it in like a built-in. So I put one on top of the other, and then they have, essentially 4 drawers there as a built-in to file away some stuff for, as the prisoners are checked in. Or maybe they keep some personal belongings from the prisoners in those files. And then here's the kind of the main room. This is where the administrative staff will work, and you'll see through those iron gates at the right-hand side. That's on the opposite side of those gates is where the prisoners will be brought in, and this is kind of the safe side where they kind of process them and then get their stuff, and then guards on the other side will take them into the cell block. And we'll see that in a little bit. So here I'm going, and I'm just putting a little bit of artwork up here, trying to make it a little nicer for the workers in the prison. And then I have this other kind of light here, like kind of this I don't know if a hanging light, I guess it's called. And that's the same part of the add-in that has the tables and the chairs. It came with these lights as well, and it also came with like floor lamps and stuff like that. So I go ahead and I put one up on each side of the doors there, just like that. And I'm not sure what I was doing here. Maybe I was going to move it somewhere else or something, but I did end up deciding to keep the light right where it was. And then this little alcove here, I go ahead and I add two more filing cabinets. Now that filing cabinet on the left there, in the next video you'll see when I go ahead and I put a control room in to the prison to open up and close all the cell doors, that one actually gets removed, and I actually end up putting a ladder that goes down to like a basement room, and that becomes the control center for the prison. And then I was like, do I want some carpeting and stuff? And I was like, nah, I don't really think I need that. So here's the other office on the opposite side. So I go ahead and I cut in, filing cabinets here, right next to the other ones. Just this time they're facing into this office. And I go ahead and I do the same thing, and I put, a table down, a larger table. Just like that. And then in this office, because it is a little bit bigger, I decided to go ahead and put 4 chairs down in this office. And again, I'm kind of getting stuck on the furniture and stuff like that because it's so tight in here. You can imagine this is where they would sit down. A prisoner would be brought in on the other side of the metal grate. They would have some paperwork they would fill out here. Collect some of the belongings. Record it all, put it in the filing cabinets. And then the prisoner will be walked into the prison on that opposite side right there of the grates that you see. And then here I'm just kind of moving the grates around a little bit. I didn't fully like it, and I was thinking of putting like a block. You'll see in a second here. I was thinking of putting blocks up like this. And then when I looked at it, I was like, I don't know. I don't really like how that looks, so I ripped them down again. And I go ahead and I kind of put, a grate on that side and a grate on that side. And then I was going to put a block in the middle like that. And I didn't like that look either, so I ended up going just with the iron bars right in the middle, just like that. and that's how I kept it in. And so there's still kind of two windows right there, so you can imagine like two guards, you know, two prison guards could work at the same time in case they have two prisoners being brought in at the same time. And then that really finishes up the administrative side for right now. And then here I am going into the, you know, into the prisoner side. And then here I am in the cell block. And right here, this is where I'm going ahead. I'm cutting in the access way to the courtyard that we built up on top of the prison. So basically, I'm cutting stairs in, and then I will go ahead and replace, you know, all the dirt and stuff that's along the sides with the bricks, because, you know, you need to have a sturdy, a nice sturdy wall, because you don't want people to be able to dig their way out of here. And you'll see, like, on each corner of the stairs, as the stairs turn the corner, I always leave like a flat landing, because it doesn't really look as nice if you don't leave a landing right there. If you try to just turn and have another stair, it just looks a little awkward. It still works; you can still climb up there, but it just looks a lot better if you put the landing where the stairs turn corners. I also found out later in a later video too that, like, when you're doing paths and you're doing a path and you're going from like 2 wide to a 3 wide path, or a, you know, 1 wide to a 2 wide path, it usually looks better, like, to transition the path on the corner. It's fine if you're going from like a 3 to a 1 or a 1 to a 3, because then you can kind of center the path and that looks okay. But when you're not an odd path, it just looks better to put it on a corner, to transition on a corner. And here I am going ahead ripping out the rest of the dirt blocks and filling it in. And then, yeah, this whole thing is going to be caged in, so essentially, you know, you can bring the prisoners up through this access way. It's in the cell block. It didn't need to have a separate door because it's all inside the prison. And I go ahead and I put iron bars up around the whole thing. Alright, and then here we are at this point where we're going to furnish the cells. So this is kind of, this cell here, if you remember from the first video, is kind of the holding pen. So it's just going to have a bunch of chairs in here, really. Just a place to put the prisoners. Why, you know, maybe why, if there's a line waiting to get checked in, they could all wait here in this little room right here. And you saw how there's a button, you know, on the inside and the outside of all the cells right now. That's really just temporary. Like I said, in the next video, we go ahead and we add a control room, and then we basically remove all the buttons from the cells, both inside and outside. So everything has to be controlled from that room then. And then here I'm going ahead and grabbing some furniture. So pretty much I put a bed, a table, and chair in most of the rooms. And that's all each cell really gets. And I changed orientation slightly for each of the cells. There, I kind of put a bed there, chair right there, and I put a table over here. And I go ahead and throw a table right there for that one. And then in this one, I go ahead and I kind of put the bed up next to the iron bars right there. And then here I put the bed over there. And I put the chair and the table right there. And this cell here is a little bit smaller, but it's open kind of to the holding pen, so it's kind of a little bit more open of a cell. So in here I really don't even put a chair because there wasn't really enough room for it. And then this one here, I put the bed right there, and I kind of put the table up next to the grate because it's kind of getting real dark back here. So to be able to see anything, you know, it needs to kind of be by the entrance where there's light coming in. And then back here, this is the room that's the solitary confinement, so it's real dark and really no room back here. So basically all this guy gets back here is a chair, and that's it. And that kind of finishes the furnishing of the cells. And then here I'm just finishing off the cell block, so I'm basically going in and I'm adding a sign to, you know, over each cell that says what cell it is. And then that comes in handy because when I go ahead and put the control center in the next video, I know what cell, you know, and I also label the controls for each command block that I put in, so I know which cell is opening and or closing. And I kind of throw a torch in there temporarily because it is getting really dark and it was really hard to see. And then here I just counted all the cells to see how many we actually had. And you'll see here on the next one, you know, you can read that one. This one's kind of hard to read right here. It's actually a little easier in the video. It seems like the video actually seems to be a little bit lighter than my TV screen at least, but it's still hard to read. And this one back here is really hard to read. And it was longer, so I wanted to make sure it was like centered on the sign. And see that one you can barely read. Alright, and that finishes up our second part of our prison build here, and we are going to have one more video on this, and we're going to go ahead and put the control center in. So I think that video will be quicker than this one, probably 15-minute video, and then that will finish up our prison altogether. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I hope to see you back here again. Have a great day.